Hey everybody, I just want to make a video sort of showing how to get into an astrology site and look up your chart and then ideally compare it with, the chart of what's going on in the sky today. And then you can go look up dates from the past and start looking at how really important dates in your life, what was the astrology playing out on that day. I think that's probably one of the most profound ways to start to understand astrology and get a feel for each of these planets and how they affect you, how it plays out. I think the more faded the moment in life, the date that you can remember where, if you met your spouse or something like that and your life was forever changed because of this one sort of faded moment where you met somebody that completely changed your life, or, a date when, you got really sick, or, a season where you were really depressed, or, anything that stands out as unique that you can remember the date of. I really recommend looking up the chart that day and how it relates to your own chart. So this is a site called astrotheme.com, and there's a bunch of different sites. This is just one. It's a pretty popular one and pretty easy to maneuver and navigate, but all one word, just like it sounds, astrotheme.com. And up here, I already have an account set up, but it'll have, start an account, and so you start an account, and you can add birth profiles. So you're going to want to start with at least one, put your own birth information in there, and ideally you can find the exact time of your birth, because that's really insightful. But you plug that in, and you wind up back here on the home page. And so we'll scroll down here, and I'll just show you this right here on the left is the chart of the moment right now. That's what's going on in the sky. If we come down a little bit here, it says astrology and personality right here. I hope you can see my cursor here. And if you go down right below it, just highlighted in red there, horoscope and ascendant. That's what you want to click on just to find your birth chart, just to find your natal chart. So we'll come down here, select a profile, and this site always makes you hit next twice for everything you want to do for some reason. But so here, this is just some random chart, and this person was born with the sun in Pisces, and so this will give you a little description of what it's like to have the sun in Pisces, how that functions. This person's ascendant was in Virgo. It gives you a little idea of the energy of having a Virgo ascendant or Virgo rising sign. Come down, scroll down, and there's your chart. And to begin to make sense of this, you can kind of see up here. As I move this around and I hover my cursor over each of these are planets on the outside, and then on the inside wheel, these are the signs, the constellations. So this is Cancer, this is Gemini, this is Taurus, Aries, etc. And now I can hover over all these planets, like here, there's the sun, and I can click on it, and all this information on the sun comes up. Now let's kind of zoom in just a hair here, and here's all the aspects to the sun. So in this person's birth chart, their sun is semi-squared Venus, 26 minutes away from being exactly square. The sun is quintile Neptune, and it's only 18 minutes from being exact. And the sun is square the moon, and that's a little bit further away from being exact. It's almost, once it gets to 60 minutes, it goes to 7 degrees, so it's almost exactly 7 degrees away from being exactly square the moon. And then down below it'll give you a little bit of information about the sun, and and then it'll come down and it'll give you information about what the sun is like in Pisces. And in this chart, the sun is in the 6th house, and it'll give you some ideas into that, insights into that, and just a little bit further into all this stuff. And at the bottom you can reduce it down. Whoopsie. And go back up and hover over each of these, and then that, like it said sun square moon when we looked at that. Now you can Google that, and that's how you can start really taking advantage of all the free astrology online. Those are two very key aspects of your psychology and your energetic functioning, the sun and the moon, that are just by where they were placed when you were born, have more friction between them than a lot of other people, and so that's something you can identify, and you can see, well, how does the moon like to function in Sagittarius versus how does the sun like to function in Pisces, and start seeing how those energies are different, and then also how they can be similar, and you can start to harmonize those aspects of yourself and find ways to express those energies simultaneously, where you're taking advantage of the friction and using it for productivity and potential. Once you get beyond all of the inner struggles, each conflict in our chart represents an inner struggle, and we can each sort of develop and grow through each of those, and they can turn into strengths. It's the power of all this. Now, that's just looking at your natal chart, and I recommend looking at all this stuff and Googling all of the different aspects from when you hover over each thing. Super insightful. But now let's go back up to, this is the chart of the moment up here at the top of the page. Click on that. So here we are. This down here, it says New York, New York. So if you were in New York right now, look at Neptune is just rising. This is the eastern horizon over here, and Neptune is just rising. Excuse me. Mercury is right up here at the top of the sky. The moon just set. Excuse me. A little over an hour ago. And yeah, this is what's going on in the sky. And now you can come right here. And so, here's one thing you can do. You can come up here, and up here it says 1 minute. You can click on that, and you can go 4 minutes, 1 hour, 6 hours, 7 days, all the way to 2 centuries. And you can go forwards or backwards and see what the chart's gonna be like in a week, in a month, in a year, or what it was like last week or last month or last year. Or you can just type in a specific date and time and look up the chart of what was going on there, right down to the specific location. But now you can take right here, if you can see my cursor, it says natal chart inside. Click on that, choose a profile, plug it in, hit next, and you always have to hit next twice. And now what we've got here is, on the inside is the natal chart, and then on the outside, the outer ring, is the chart of where the planets are today. So you can start looking at seasons of your life, and you can hover over each one. Again, just like before, here's Uranus. Click on that, and Uranus is exactly sextile Mercury today. 0, 0, 0. That's incredible. This is the day, Mercury is kind of the higher octave of, or Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. They're both mentally attuned planets. Like, this is the day that this guy, especially, like, if you look, it didn't show up on that, but it's coming really close to being conjunct Jupiter too. And Jupiter and Mercury and Uranus are all about thinking and philosophy and a lot of mental processing. And so this Uranus transit is a potentially super profound transit for putting patterns together, recognizing patterns in your head, having just profound insights of clarity. That's what this Uranus and Mercury being exactly sextile. Sextile is a happy angle that gets deeper into looking into astrology, but so the energy flows very well at 60 degrees in astrology. They share the same polarity as far as positive or negative. They're both positive signs. And so that's just one aspect, and you can Google that. Google Saturn transit sextile to natal Mercury. And that's a bit more complicated. Another one that's going on, you can see Saturn is down here. Saturn moves slow. Uranus takes 84 years to go around the chart. So this doesn't happen all the time. This is a very unique season to be in. Saturn takes 30 years to go around the chart. It moves really slowly too. And you can see Saturn is right here, conjunct in this person's chart. They have Saturn, Uranus, and the Moon right next to each other. I mean, they're basically right on top of each other. And so Saturn transiting right here is a really profound season in this person's life. Saturn is all about maturity and responsibility. And so not only are they going through what is called their Saturn return, which is something you can Google. It happens about around when you turn 29, 30, 31, depending on where Saturn was when you're born. It happens again 30 years later. And these are major seasons of sort of, they potentially trigger depressions, because Saturn is really the taskmaster. And if you haven't been living up to your own sense of hard work, Saturn's maturity and growth and responsibility. And when you go through a Saturn return, you're checking in with, have you been stepping up into your sense of responsibility and maturity? And if you haven't, you start feeling kind of negative about yourself, which can, turn into sort of a depression season. That's just Saturn transiting Saturn by itself. This person happens to have it happening at the same time that their moon, which is their emotions, their sort of motherly nurturing in their lives, that's being transited by Saturn, and Saturn tends to restrict. It's tough love, and so there can be a lot of emotional isolation is the way it can sort of feel during this transit. So this person feels really emotionally isolated. They're going through their own Saturn return of, psychologically trying to grow up and mature, and maybe not feeling so good about how they've been doing that so far in life, and it can really turn into a season of a funk. And it turns into unfortunately it turns into a season when people wind up going, I think I need to go see a doctor, and they wind up on a pill that they wind up taking for maybe the rest of their lives. But this is just a season, and rather than take a pill, not to be cold, but in a lot of those situations, what you need to do is grow up. That sounds cold as everything, but Saturn's cold and dry. It's not fun. These are hard lessons. This is tough love. That's what Saturn's about. And so this person's going through a lot of tough love right now in this season of their life. And you can Google all of those aspects. Saturn transit natal Moon, Saturn transit natal Uranus, Saturn transit natal Saturn, and begin to see the energies and the way people have been describing those energies for years and decades and centuries, so there's your just quick intro on how to sort of navigate this particular site. A lot of people probably get a bit overwhelmed trying to figure out how to get in here and look stuff up, but it's not as complicated. At some point you just kind of have to jump into the water and try to figure this out. So anyway, I hope that helps, and I hope that gives you some reasons to jump in and try to figure this stuff out, because I think it's going to be incredibly insightful. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.